So I didn't get held up at all. It was spot on. And you'll see a lap later, I think Vettel pops out just in front of me on his pit stop, and I actually gained a couple of seconds on him. You see, I've got my Union Jack helmet there to match the Lotus. The Lotus is looking really nice this season. Not the Renault Lotus, this Lotus. The paint job looks really good. I know they were going to go for the gold and black design, but now Renault got that. I mean, like, there's a lot of debate about which one's the real Lotus, but to be honest, none of them are the real Lotus. I know, like, they're trying to get backing from the Chapman family, and they've recently come out saying that Renault Lotus is the one that they would back and all of that sort of thing, but to be honest, I just see the Renault Lotus as Renault with a different manufacturer sponsor, and that's not a bad thing, because I quite like the Renault team, because, I mean, they were the ones that came in and ended the Ferrari dominance, which was so boring, so it's all good. But I do like this Lotus team, because they're like the underdogs at the end of the day, and you've got to love them. And they're saying that there's all this dispute going on about the name, but at the end of the day, two Lotuses on the grid isn't necessarily a bad thing. The Group Lotus chairman, I think, said himself that it's just extra advertising for the car company, so it's not personally that fussed. It's just the fact that the Lotus are trying to, or this Lotus here, are trying to get their TV money from last season, and if they change their name, I think they don't get that, so that's the reason they're hanging on to it. Right, I'm coming up on the HRT here. I didn't want to mess about too much with him, it's Kareem Chandler, because, I mean, I'd be able to outpace him. I was just making sure, look, watch this. Oh, there he is, just before I cut back across. That killed my frame rate a little bit doing that, but doesn't surprise me. And here comes Vettel. If I was a bit more ambitious into that corner, I maybe would have been able to get him straight away, but I thought, so that it's not the strongest part of the track for me. This bit coming up is, so I'll try and get him here. I can't remember if I do or not. Yeah, I do. There you go. Oh, actually, rub wheels a little bit, which you could get. That's Vettel for you, know, super aggressive. It's what I like, seeing other drivers battling for position, and I try and actually nip in here and take the advantage of that. Nerfed him a little bit there on the side pod. I'm hoping like games like Shift 2 will actually have a lot more damage than this game. I mean, I know they've said this is a sort of interim damage model, so hopefully on the next one you'll have a lot more serious damage, and judging by Codemasters' other games, that's bound to be true, because they seem to love that sort of thing. I mean, I've played their games since like the original Toka games on the PS1, and I loved all of them basically. I can't remember a Codemasters game that I particularly hated, but on this one where I get to Malaysia and I hate the track and I just think, I lose the will to live. But hopefully with a new car and a bit of traction control or whatever, I can just get through that race. Might not be a particularly good one, there might be a short episode because I might crash out, but I'm just going to try and get through it. If I do crash, I'm not going to retry it, because that track winds me the fuck up. It's just so annoying. It's got so many off-camera corners, blind corners, and corners you think, right, I can just nail it through here, and you just can't do it in this car. I think you need a really good car to actually do that track. Whereas Australia is a lot of fun, which will be the next episode, obviously, episode 4. It's a bit weird because I've got episode 1 Bahrain, episode 2 Australia, episode 3 Bahrain, episode 2 Australia, but that's the way it is. I mean, I was just going to completely write off this game and not play it anymore, but I needed to get on a racing game and do something worthwhile in commentaries rather than just doing FIFA montages all the time. And people seem to like these videos, so I thought, why not put another one up? Now that I've got a better microphone and a bit more experience in commentating videos, and obviously a bit more of a perspective on what people want to watch. I mean, you don't necessarily want to see someone driving with no driving aids or whatever and doing crap. You want to see something exciting and fun to watch, and this is hopefully providing it. You see, I'm battling with Schumacher here in third place, which would never have happened last season because I don't think they ever got that high up, Mercedes. But they are looking a lot stronger this season. Schumacher has said that he will hopefully battle for wins, which would be interesting because I'd love to see the dynamic of Vettel, Hamilton, Alonso, Schumacher up the front. And I'm leaving Mark Webber out of that, but yeah, it's Mark Webber at the end of the day. I don't think he's ever made good decisions personally. Don't rate him that highly. He's a nice bloke, but as a driver, he's not quite as good as Vettel or Hamilton. I know Button I'm quite liking at the moment. I think he showed a lot of maturity in the years where he had a crap car, and then in this season with Hamilton he did really well. I think they both did actually, they actually got along with each other and helped each other, and when they did race hard, they raced clean as well, which is the important thing. I mean, you've got the Red Bull guys, you can't just go crashing into each other. You can race hard, but you can't race like that. You've got to be a bit cleaner than that. Anyway, we're about halfway through this race at the moment. I'm going to post the whole thing up in one big chunk rather than doing it in parts, because since the last videos we did, we can actually post longer videos now. And hopefully, I know David's doing his fight night stuff, and he's really hoping to get some sort of deal, whether it's partnership or something like Machinima Sports coming in. Although I know some of Machinima Sports stuff isn't particularly great, there are some really good things on there, and I think Dave would do really well on that with his fight night stuff. So hopefully, by posting more of these up, we'll get a bit more attention on the sports side, particularly since this game won the BAFTA for Best Sports Game. I think it was Best Sports Game, or whatever. Surprised me anyway. But I suppose that it is the best Formula 1 game that's been on the console recently, and the best Formula 1 game recently. I wouldn't say of all time, because personally I think Grand Prix 3 or Grand Prix 4 by Jeff Crammond is a hell of a lot better than this. I mean, they had dynamic weather cycles in that, like, years before this, and they had like drying lines, and you had to wet the tyres, and the damage model was actually a bit better than this one, really. Well, it's kind of similar, like, you wouldn't be able to like mess up the side pods much, but or the nose cone much, but wheels would come flying off and cars would flip and everything. But as I was saying, I'm looking forward to Shift 2, and that damage model, apparently they got a like extreme mode where it is really sensitive, which would be great, because I just want to see cars when they're bashing into the side of each other quite lightly, just taking bits of nose cone off, because you see that quite a lot. But we'll have to wait and see what that's like. Right, well, lap 8 at the moment, third place, which is really good. I'll start to take it a bit more careful now, because I kind of want to maintain my position, but then at the same time I do want to push on and see if I can catch the guys at the front. But my tyres might start going off, so I'm being a little bit cautious at times, particularly on these corners here, because it's the slow speed ones where you're most likely to spin, because you haven't got the downforce on the go and you're planting the throttle quite early. But as I said, I've got the traction control on, so hopefully that'll help, or it did help actually, because I've done the race now. This isn't live, but it helped definitely, because in the other races it was such an effort just to get the videos out and done, while at the same time having to concentrate so much. It was just too much of an effort to do it, so this is a little bit more relaxed, and it'll be able to track the progress a lot better. You see, I've already caught up with Webber. This is the weird thing, like, there could be a massive gap, and then instead of chipping away lap by lap, you seem to just suddenly gain a big advantage over them. That's where it frustrated me slightly on the inconsistency, I think. Whether they make a mistake or not, I'm not sure, but it just seems like out of nowhere you catch them and you outpace them. And to be honest, a Lotus shouldn't be this far up on expert mode, even with traction control or whatever. It shouldn't be where I am now, because I'm not the best driver in the world. You can probably tell I'm not even remotely good at the game, but I'm still able to battle up for podiums and wins, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Yeah, I was definitely coming on at that point. I love the radio guy. Just, your race engineer just chipping in with random comments. It can get annoying at times, but I think it adds a little bit of extra dynamic. I'm actually using the my favourite Formula 1 view. I remember when they first introduced these cameras, it was really good. I remember loving these camera angles, and they never used to show them enough in the races. But I always use it on any Formula 1 racing game. It's my favourite view. The cockpit view just, I don't know, it seems to detract from the sense of speed, and it doesn't give you such a good view of the track. I know that when Shift 2 comes out, I'm going to try and use the helmet cam and see how I get along with that, because that actually looks quite good, the way it looks to the apex and stuff like that, because that's what you'd naturally do when you're driving a car. You try and look for the apex, aim for it, and then hit it. It might be a little bit, I mean, most games when they tried that sort of thing haven't really done it very well, but from the looks of it, they've done a lot better on this. So I'm just hoping at the moment my Sony Vegas renders this properly, because at the moment it's having trouble rendering longer bits of footage. Although having said that, that was FIFA, so maybe it'll be slightly different. Right, I'm catching Mark Webber now. Those curbs are actually quite deadly. They've got that little bump there, and I think you'll see in the next few laps I keep getting hooked up on them. Rather than risk turning the wheel to get off of them, because the car could just snap into the wall, which I have done quite a few times before, I just kept going straight and waited for the curb to end, which is the best strategy for you, really. I think I'll do it here. Yeah, there you go, look. I got hooked on the curb there. Rather than steer out of it, I decided to stay in there. My car setting is actually on the, I think not the completely dry, like no downforce setup, but like one block in between for the quick setup, that is. I know when it comes to Malaysia, I keep trying to do my own custom settings so I can actually get decent lap times, because on that track I seem to destroy the first sector by like 3 or 4 seconds, and then the last sector I just do fuck all. Second sector I'm alright, but it's always the last sector where I just fail miserably. So I had to try and work on it, or just have that race as a write-off. I might be able to finish like 18th or whatever potentially, so that'll be enough to keep the team happy. Because I'm kind of exceeding expectations by battling for podiums, I think, against the Red Bull. Right, here we are, I'm getting really close to him now.